many of you babysat when you were 14 years old? How about 13, 12, 11, 10, 9? Okay, there she is. This is the problem we're facing today. So I've been a clinical psychologist for 35 years. It's getting very weird between parents and children. She babysat when she was 9 years old, and now 9-year-olds have at least one babysitter and maybe a security guard right outside the front gate. And then maybe an adult standing right next to them saying, oh, look, she breathed in. And then she breathed out after that. It's like a miracle. And we're kind of worshiping at the altar of the children's achievements while not expecting very much from them in terms of contribution to family citizenship. So I work a lot with people at schools, and I was talking to a kindergarten teacher, very experienced kindergarten teacher, and she had just completed a parent-teacher conference with 2 physician parents. So just picture that for a minute. 2 physician parents, that's a scary conference, but she's afraid of no one. And so one of the parents said to her at the end of this conference, one of the parents said, we think you're doing a wonderful job. We're very, very pleased with how things are going this year, but we just have one issue we have to bring up. We do not feel that your kindergarten curriculum has Trevor on a proper pre-med track. And she looked at the dad, this was the dad who spoke, and she said, you know, Trevor peed his pants yesterday. I don't think we need to be worrying about medical school quite yet. So she told me that story, and then 2 days later, a colleague of mine told me he was at a dinner party. This was also with a school administrator, and he was having a lovely conversation with her. She was the hostess of the party. And suddenly, in the middle of the conversation, she said, oh, excuse me a moment. And he said, is everything okay? And she said, it's fine. It's my daughter. She's in the bathroom upstairs. And she showed him her phone, and on her phone was a text, 2 words, wipe me. Wipe me. The girl is 6. And I tell you, in my experience working with families, this is no longer unusual. It's so hard to understand in this sea of radical self-reliance. But I see children, and the tragedy in it is that the instinct to help is inborn. Children are getting older and older and older, wiping their own bottoms, washing their hair, clearing the table, staying with a 9-year-old babysitter. They don't do that. We kind of treat them like a cross between handicapped royalty and special victims unit. We're so nervous about them all the time. The most common problem that parents come to see me about is their children's anxiety and entitlement. So I was very, very interested to run into the research. Where's my timer? There it is. I'm good. The research of Michael Tomasello, who's an American developmental psychologist. He is now the director of the Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig. And he did a study of infant altruism. He took children that could barely walk and put them, you know how social scientists' laboratory is just a room. So he put them in the room, and at one end of the room was a little child. They were between 12 and 14 months old. And the other end of the room, in came a researcher holding his arms completely full, sort of gesturing at a cabinet and indicating that he wanted to open the cabinet. And these babies would toddle across the room to help. Immediately, So then they tried to make it a little bit more difficult, and they littered the room with obstacles. Same exact response. The children didn't look at their parents for approval. They didn't stop and think. They had the instinct to help. So then they put some extremely attractive toys in the corner of the room. Same thing. So then they tried it with two groups, 36 18-month-old chimps and 36 18-month-old humans. Exactly the same response. We are hardwired to help and contribute. It's an endangered instinct. We are killing in young children the impulse to help. So you know how little kids say, I helped? They're just incredibly proud. And they love stuff like warm laundry from the dryer. They want to fold the socks. They want to help. And we've moved them to the point where they say, help me, please. And the parents describe themselves as a cross between a Sherpa. So they're carrying the kids. The kindergarten teachers say, please make sure that the children carry their own backpacks and they walk into the classroom themselves. And the parents are carrying the whole child plus the backpack into the classroom. The mom might be in heels because she has to go off to work right away. A Sherpa, a short order cook, because the kids say, oh, I don't like that. That's yucky. I don't want to eat that. And parents are so panicked about nutrition that they make 5 different choices for the children. Also, sometimes they find themselves in the role of bail bondsmen and a team of defense attorneys. So the high school student has done something really, really snarky or sneaky or illegal. And the parents are at school right away saying, oh, no. Not my Connor. He never would have done that. These are good, intentioned, loving, devoted parents, similar to the mom at the dinner party who was acting as a home health care aide to the 6-year-old girl. So Ben Franklin, I have to talk about him because it's the title of my talk. Ben Franklin, he was a master. There's something in sociology called the Ben Franklin effect. Does anybody know the Ben Franklin effect? It's great. It's the paradox of altruism. So the Ben Franklin effect, every sociology textbook says that a person that you have done a favor for, you are more likely to do another favor for than a person who has helped you. So just let that sink in for a minute. You are more likely to help someone you've already helped than someone who has helped you. So Ben Franklin was a master of the ask. So he had a rival Pennsylvania legislator who hated him. And Ben Franklin was a great book collector, and he sent this man a handwritten note, which imagine such a thing, a handwritten note. And he said, I beg that you would do me the favor of lending me a certain very scarce and curious book that I know you have in your book collection. Ben Franklin himself, a great and wise book collector. So the man had the book delivered to Ben Franklin right away. Franklin read it, returned it, another lovely handwritten note. And when he next ran into this man in the Pennsylvania house, he said, the man spoke to me, which he had never done before, and with great kindness and civility, and ever after that day was so willing to help me in all my endeavors, and we developed a great friendship which lasted until his death. The lesson in this story is that with an educated ask, you can give people the opportunity to exercise their instinct to help. So reporters call me sometimes, and they need to fill up space in their newspaper, on their website, and some of them call me and they say stuff like, and I can tell they're looking at a piece of paper. Oh, Dr. Mogel. They say, why did you write that book about that thing you wrote about at that time that you wrote it? And what I want to do right at that moment is say, screw you, honey, and hang up the phone. Because it's clear to me that this person has not done their homework and they want me to do it for them. And then other reporters call me and they say, Dr. Mogel, I'm so happy to have you on the phone. I've read your books, but in one of your articles, and then they'll quote a line from an article, they'll say, and they'll quote it back to me. They say, you said something that was so helpful to me. Those poor people cannot get me off the phone. I sort of want to invite them to dinner. And it's a combination of my narcissism. Here I am up here right now talking to you. Obviously, it's an issue. But also, I feel so grateful that the person has prepared. So this means that not just with parents of children, but in all our relationships, if we can think about how to do an educated ask, I always tell parents of teenagers to kind of treat them like foreign exchange students. Like if your teenager was a foreign exchange student, you wouldn't care that much. You wouldn't take it personally. There's a Tim McGraw lyric, and this one I think is really good for love relationships. The lyric is, it's a business doing pleasure with you. The closer we are to people, the harder it is to be dignified and respectful in what we ask of them and in giving them the opportunity to help us. Because we're always doing this really complicated calculus of who did what last for whom and what the tally looks like, and is it my turn or your turn? And it gets really kind of sticky. So if you think of your loved ones, or if you think of your family or your extended family or your partner as a foreign exchange student, it makes it a little bit easier. If you also think that you wish to give them the opportunity to exercise their natural desire to help. So what I say to the parents a lot of times is a line from a T.S. Eliot poem, which is Ash Wednesday, which is, teach us to care and not to care. Teach us to sit still. And the other thing I say to the parents is, please get your child a job as a summer camp counselor. The reason I want them to, and this is summer camp, we know that's what this is, that's why we're here. So summer camp counselor, what's so good about it for kids? It's the same thing as what is so good about being in this bizarre and extreme and phenomenal and magical place. They get to be away from their crazy parents, number one. Number two, for sure, 100%, one of their campers is going to throw up. And they are going to have to clean that up themselves, which is phenomenal preparation for college, where there is a lot of throwing up. Thank you so very much for listening.